Hello, everyone. I hope you are coming one by one. I see your comments. Yes, great. You know already the order. Please write your university, and then we will count and we'll let you know who is have more attendees today. So we are at Startup Academy in universities, and we are glad to see and to collaborate with 6 national and state universities from Moldova. And yes, today is our third lesson already, and I hope you are doing great. If you have any challenges or any other questions that you have during the program, please just let us know by teachers, by professors, by trackers, by us as organizers. Let us know. And of course, we have greatest experts from our network. And I'm glad to present my colleague and our partner, Natalia Bejan, who is fintech and marketing consultant, co-founder of Gineco, if you heard about. But also she have a lot of experience international wide in Europe and Asia, which is quite interesting to see this kind of market. And of course, by developing one of products there in the fintech field. Natalia,
Hi,
how are you?
everyone. I'm doing great. Really excited for all of the questions and a lot of discussion.
So we hope that we will go to Q&A session later, and we are giving to you the floor. If you have a presentation, please share. I will add on the screen.
Maybe I'll share something a bit later, but honestly, I would like more to have a discussion and to speak more about the experience, some numbers, and some basically the background that I'm coming with in the area specifically of targeting the audience and segmentation of the audience. Okay.
Absolutely.
As Mary said, I'm Natalia Bejan. I'm from Moldova myself, but I've been living abroad for 11 years. I came back to Moldova a couple months ago, or now I think it's going to be half a year probably already. I've been working in consulting area for the financial institutions, for the financial area, for the banks and consumer finance for about 6 years. I've been working for banks and microfinance institutions in 15 countries. I know because I've been counting it at some point. I've been mostly in the area of sales, customer relationship management, but also risk management. Then I was in China for 2.5 years, where I've developed a virtual credit card that is currently being used by over 2.5 million Chinese people. So that's a product that I'm really proud about. And there is a lot of experience to speak about in the area of targeting the audience, because when you have a market of more than 1 billion people and you to whom you're targeting it. So that was China. And then I came back to Europe. I worked there in insurance area for a insure tech company where I was responsible for anything related to the customer. So I was in the position of chief customer officer, and I was responsible for understanding the customer needs of net promoter score, or as we know it, the NPS, customer satisfaction, basically all the reporting related to customers. So whatever is customer related somehow is very close to me. At the same time, I've decided somehow that I want to do some projects on my own. I've started a non-governmental organization, which is about sexual and reproductive health. That is a completely different area, but I'm really passionate about it. And at this moment, I'm also doing marketing consulting for TechWill. I also have actually the clothing from the program. So, okay, what I wanted to start with is just by saying that even a couple of years ago, probably something like 2 or 3 years ago, I haven't even heard of the work position or like the job title of targeting expert. Now, if you're opening job websites, especially in Russia, for some reason, like that's one of the geographical areas where it's really developed. Targetolog will be one of the positions that appears actually quite often in the marketing area, in the social media, especially area. And there are plenty of analyses that are saying that even within the last year, the number of job openings for this specific position, for targeting expert, probably in English it's targeting expert, but it's targetolog, so targetolog in Romanian, has increased. This number of openings has increased more than 40 times.
Natalia, I'm so sorry. There is a problem with connection. Can you make a refresh or something? Your pictures stopped, just frozen. Yeah, that's perfect.
I hope you'll be
Thank you. Yeah, sorry
okay.
for interrupting you. Yeah. No. What kind of lectures with our troubles? Yeah, you are back. Thank you. Sorry, please. Yeah, that's better.
Probably the refresh button.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you. Sorry about it. Yeah, so I was saying that the number of the job offers for targeting expert has increased more than 40 times just within the last year. And this is one of the statistics how we can understand that probably there is really something important about targeting the right audience. And besides the fact that it's a new profession, it's also starting to be more and more explicit and understandable from the perspective of what are the KPIs for that position. So it's not just something, I don't know, let's brainstorm the general persona or traits and characteristics of the customers we want to target in general, but there are very measurable KPIs for this position. One of them is number of leads generated. Another one is number of traffic generated. So how many people are coming to your whatever landing page, website, what is the audience that you have on your social media profiles. And then the last and probably the most important is the conversion to whatever something. It's sales or conversion to something. What is your most important, what are you selling? What is the service? What is the product? So what targeting the audience does, it basically gives you an understanding what is the direction that you are going. And if you are looking at any of the social media platforms that allows you to do targeting, and targeting you will always do when you want to set up a marketing campaign. Every single social media platform will ask you who is the target audience that you want this specific ad to be shown to. There are a couple of very usual and repeating characteristics or parameters of the customers that you simply have to know. Who is your target customer? One of them is age. They will be asking you, is it about, and probably like the first time you're just hearing, okay, age is like, okay, everyone. But then like, are you interested in the newborns? Are you interested in the senior people? Are you interested in students or even in the people at school, in the young kids at school? This already gives you a lot of thought or like basic thought, who is your customer? The next one is geography. Again, quite simple, but then it can be actually very tricky. I'm actually now mentoring a couple of girls in the XY Partners pre-accelerator. And when we just got to the simple question, what is your geographical target audience? It is sometimes difficult to say who are you targeting because you don't want to limit your opportunities. But at the same time, if you have all the opportunities in the whole wild world, you can imagine that a message that you can send as a promotion to people in US might have to be different from the message you would send as a promotion in China. And here actually, today, thinking about what I'm going to talk about in the lesson, I was thinking about my experience in China because I had a team who was dedicated for marketing and for all the campaigns we did in marketing. And very, very, very often, I learned again and again that the campaigns, the way I wanted to do them with my European understanding of how people react to different kind of promotion messages, was completely different from what the real audience in China needed. So when I was looking at the promotion ads we were preparing, or just simply the promotion materials, like some presentations, or how the mobile application should look like, front end, the visuals, I was saying this is completely unattractive. I cannot understand the message. I can, because sometimes even from the visuals, if you will see some visual from Serbia, for example, you will somehow understand what is the general message you are trying to get from there. And in China, it's completely different. You cannot understand the message. And the opposite, they cannot understand the message if you will present it in your own way. There is even the simple thing with percentages. In Europe, you might say you are giving 50% discount to something. In China, they don't use the notion of percentage. They are using it as 0.5. 0.5 means that you will pay 50% of the price. So it's just simply, it's a different way of understanding the numbers and perceiving the marketing campaigns. So that's why the targeting person has to know very well as well the geography. Geography might not mean just the continents or the countries. It might as well mean for the Republic of Moldova. If you are targeting Drochia or Comrat, you might use even a different language in your promotions, or you might have to use, I don't know, translation or any other details in the way how you are presenting the information to make it much more relevant for the people that will be reading it. So that's about the geography. The next thing for sure, it's gender. You might or you might not discriminate based on gender, but you have to simply think about it. Will you not? There are plenty. If you'll just go to Google and you'll Google marketing based on gender, you will see a lot of information. Some of it might be intuitive, like colors or how many words there are, or how emotional or strict to the point it is. This is simply just, again, a detail you have to take into account when you are thinking, is your product for a woman or more feminine, let's say, target audience, or more masculine target audience? Then there are other things like purchasing power, like social class, and for sure, consumer habits or interests. If you are selling a product that is about a healthy lifestyle, you'll probably look for people who are somehow in the field of a healthy lifestyle. So you have to really understand in which area. You have to understand as much as possible about your target audience, because only in that case you'll be able to define the most relevant and so the perception of the product and of the service will be at the highest for the audience, and then in turn the conversion for whatever sale will be as well the highest. There are a couple of questions for sure that you have to ask yourself when you are defining your target audience, especially when you are a startup, because when you are a startup, you have the beauty of just drawing basically whatever you want to draw for your business for the future. You have to understand who are your clients, who are your ideal client, or who are your potential clients. There are these two slightly different areas. Here I can give you as well an example from Gyneco, which is a non-governmental organization, but there are still some startup mechanisms that you have to implement even when you have an NGO, because you still have to have it. You still have to have a relevant product that will have to be bought either by the consumers or by the donors and the supporters of the organization. And in our case, when we launched the platform, we didn't think about the target audience. We just simply did it because we wanted to put out there interesting information about health. But now, looking at the numbers, and we'll speak about the numbers a bit later on, it is so interesting and important to understand that 98% of the audience reading us are women. Respectively, we have to take this into account when we are creating the new products, the new articles, the new information, the new courses, because they have to be mostly tailored for women. because women have been attracted so far mostly by our products. And this is something that can also change in time for any company and any startup, because from the beginning you might have a very clear mindset who is your target audience, but in the course of the development of the business you might actually understand and perceive that there are different categories of customers that might respond much better. And that's the point where you might want to adjust your understanding of who is your target audience. And this can in turn shape your own product. I'm sure that this might have happened in certain situations. An interesting thing that you have to also think about the customers and the target audience when you understand who they are is what's their problem and then try to solve it, or what is their dreams and then try to find plenty of statistics. I just today looking up the internet, I found just so many of them that I was not able to choose one of them. The statistics that is saying how much better any promotion will perform if the information will be personalized, if the ad will be personalized, if there will be anything that the person will feel that this is related to them, that this is about their city, their street, their company, their neighbors, or anything that they can relate to. The information will immediately speak to them in a closer manner. And that's why it would be great if you could find out what is their either problem or dream. Again, within the mentoring program, right now, one of the girls is developing a startup that would serve as a platform for women who have depression troubles after giving birth to a child. And for her, the conversion is so much better because the women that she is approaching, and women who, specifically women who have given birth within the last 3 years, it's in her case, she's just able to speak with them in the same language, and the conversion from the point where she's touching the woman and the woman being actually interested to take part in the group is so much higher. And this is one of the things that is so important, that you understand the target and you understand what is their problem. You're a woman, you gave birth within the last whatever months or a year or two. It probably means that you would appreciate having a support group where you can discuss about the troubles you're going through, including depression maybe, or things that are of that nature. Another point that is very important why you need to know your target audience is because you need to know where those people are socializing. The usual way of thinking nowadays is the social media. Even in the social media, you can so much discriminate based on the platform, because the language and the content you are going to create on LinkedIn is so much more different than the content created on Telegram, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, or basically every single one of them will have a slightly different, sometimes it actually quite a different type of presenting the information. And this is only social media, but it depends what kind of startup do you want to do, or what you are working on already. Because if it's a startup that might be offering something to people who are not online or not online yet, then you might have to use also billboards outside, or get in touch with the TVs and radios or any other channels. That's why in the moment when you understand who is your target audience, it is important to think about where are those people socializing, where are they interacting, where are they consuming the information. Because some of the touch points where you might need to get in and to make yourself visible is choosing some platforms on which you are going to make yourself heard. This is also important from the perspective of optimizing the marketing budget. Budgets are never endless. They are always limited. That is why it is important to optimize the costs on one side, but also to prioritize where are your money going to go. If you know that your target audience is mostly watching TV, or is mostly on TikTok if you have a younger audience, or if it is mostly Instagram related, maybe it's something related to pictures or whatever, depending. You will know how much money you have to allocate specific to that channel. All of your money in one basket only. So speaking just one social media platform, for example, it would always be great to test. Always be great to understand if the target audience is not changing, if the habits are not changing, if the behavior is not changing, and maybe the platform as well. So you have to adjust and you have to go there where they are. The target audience will be with you as long as they will understand, or it will be converted, as long as they understand specifically what is the benefit. Why specifically those people will benefit from using your product or your service. That is why there needs to be, and this is not exactly something that you have to show off. I see this specifically in the young startups who are sometimes too shy kind of to present the advantages of their product. But for a person who is just a real person out there living their life and is a target person, potentially a target customer for you, you have to make yourself visible with that elevator speech, with whatever, like there are so plenty of different ways how to define now how you can present your product and the benefits of your product in shortest time period possible. You have to do that homework. And the targetologist or the targetologist and target expert is the person who should be able to formulate the advantage of the product or the service specifically for the target audience that you will be speaking to. And here is also interesting to make a difference in between the targeting the audience and segmentation of the audience, because target audience is a bit of a broader explanation or definition of who is the people that you want to have as potential customers. But for example, your target audience can be all the people in Moldova. You don't want to work with anyone in whatever, Zanzibar or Ukraine. You want to work only with people in Moldova because I don't know why, like you have to have that limitation from legal perspective, let's say. But then inside of Moldova, you might want to segment people based on the same things. It might be gender, it might be age, it might be cities and villages, it might be schools they went to, and so on. So in the moment when you understand the target, it's not the moment when you just stop and you say, okay, for all of those people together, I'm going to do just one campaign because they will speak in the same language. No, that's why in most of the cases, the most the best campaigns that are being done, they are also personalized from the perspective of segmentation, not only from the targeting, but segmentation of people. So it might be that you will be setting one campaign as a general, but you will have a couple of different promo materials that will be slightly adjusted for different segments of the audience. Each of them might be, again, more tailor-made. And here, maybe I'll go a bit too deep, but I hope I'm not going to confuse anyone. Maybe many of you have heard of the term retargeting as well. Retargeting goes even one step further and is speaking about the situations when you know more information about the customer. So for example, you know the behavior of the customer on your either social media platforms or on your website. It is about the customers. It probably happens to you sometimes that you are on one website, you are looking at specific, for example, it's an e-shop and you're looking for some specific dress and you haven't bought it because you, I don't know, somebody interrupted you or you changed your mind or whatever, something happened. And then after some time, that specific dress might appear on your Instagram or on your Facebook or in Google somewhere. That is because those companies have the retargeting campaigns that are helping them or helping you, I don't know, helping everyone to become more relevant for the customer, because they know the behavior of the customer before that. They are able to set this one specific micro campaign that will not go to everyone in your city or in your area or of your gender or of your age. It will go specifically just to you, and it will be super duper relevant to you specifically because it's your behavior, because you know you've visually already seen this dress. I think regarding this stuff, there are very different opinions. Somebody will find it very useful. Somebody will find it very intrusive. And this is already an ethical line that you will have to define for yourself. And this is, again, the area where that's so important to have a good person in the marketing team and as a targeting specialist, because you have to make sure you're not going too far. This information might still be completely confidential. You will not know the name of the person. You will not know where they live specifically or what phone number they have. But still, to people, this might feel a bit too intrusive. I remember very well when we were discussing in one of the Balkan countries the possibility to send SMSs to people who are passing by a certain store. So just imagine you are somewhere in the city, you are passing whatever place, and they send you an SMS that they know you are within 5 minutes away from their store, and they have 50% discount just specifically for you. And there was plenty of discussion specifically about the topic, should we use this campaign? Should we actually execute the campaign? Because technically we were ready to do that. There are already tools to do this kind of campaigns. But from the ethical perspective, we had a lot of troubles to pass the line, and eventually we did not pass the line. For that matter, it would be good to speak to people, to understand their opinion, to test it as well on a certain sample, to understand if you're not going too far. Because that's about the personalization of the targeting. You can be super general, that you will send one message to 2 million people in one country, and you will not bother about being more personalized, but then you will be aware of the fact that the efficiency of the campaign is not going to be too good, or you're going completely to the opposite side, which, like, the best is always in the middle. The opposite side would be that you are doing it as super duper targeted, where you are using personal information of the customer, and where you might also even intimidate the customer through the type of the information that you are using to address them. So that's the area where, for sure, you have to be very careful what kind of information you are using for setting the campaigns. That is why if you would be looking at the type of the information ВКонтакте, Instagram, Facebook, Одноклассники is using, I'm just saying now some of the social media platforms that we are using mostly in Moldova, you will see that the information used for targeting the audience, it's almost always the same, and it's not going too much farther than age, geography, gender, and interests, which means, like, what are people usually looking up, reading, searching. These platforms will not allow you, or at least will not allow you yet, to go into too much more information about the customer, because it might actually turn into a non-positive reaction from the side of the potential customer. So again, that's the area that you have to be very careful about. Another quite big area of a couple points that I wanted to mention is regarding why the targeting, executing a targeting, doing a targeting of the audience is so important. First is everything what I've been speaking about up until now. It is about having much more efficient marketing strategies. Efficient strategy meaning conversion, basically, at the end of the day. So you should be able to ask, because I'm not sure exactly to whom I'm speaking right now, if you would be chatting and telling me, like, if it's the owner or the founder of the company, or if it's actually marketing people. The marketing people have to know exactly what is the target you are putting in front of them. What is the audience they are allowed to go for? And what is the final number of leads of conversion that you are expecting from them? And the efficiency of marketing strategy, it actually means, at the end of the day, sometimes it should be difficult to differentiate marketing and sales, because if marketing is about non-measurable results, you will not be able at the end of the day to say if the result was good or was not good. So at the end of the day, you have to link basically almost anything what is going on in the company with some sales and business-driven results. So in that case, again, the marketing efficiency of the strategist means that you have to have some measurable KPIs at the end of the day that, especially targeting the audience, has to help you improve. Another reason, a very important reason why you have to to understand who is your target audience and to actually do the targeting, is because of optimizing the customer journey. I've seen this so many times, and maybe it has happened to you as well, that you see an advertisement and it stuck with you, but then you don't know or you don't remember how to actually find the product, how to go back in time, remember where you saw the ad, or even if you saw the ad, how to get from the end, from the ad to placing the actual order. I had I had yesterday and today troubles with placing an order on an e-shop because there was a problem of linking my account on different browser systems with basically what I wanted to buy. I still didn't manage to do it. And for me, it was so frustrating that I was ready to buy it. I was interested in what they were selling it. But because the whole journey was not thought through for all the browsers, and by changing the browser, I was losing my shopping history and like history of what I wanted, the bag history, let's say so. I just gave up. So basically it's a customer lost. That is why it is important when you are doing the campaign to think for specific target, for specific segment. If you send them the message, to make sure that that message contains all the further steps that makes it very clear for the customer what do they need to do next to actually find out more about the product, get completely confident that they want the product, and eventually to actually buy it. Of course, the more steps you add to the process, the lower is the probability that the customer will buy the product. This is already a hypothesis tested in so many different companies and in so many different processes. It doesn't make sense to ask the client twice, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want this specific course? Do you want this course, or maybe you want some other course? The more questions you ask like this, the higher is the probability that you will simply lose the client. About personalization, I already spoke. So another reason why the targeting of the audience is so important is because McKinsey was saying that if you do an ad that is generic, and if you do an ad that is specifically personalized for the person, then the sale conversion will be the 7 times higher in the situation or in the scenario where you are personalizing it. Again, depending on how they measured it and if they didn't go too far in their campaigns, but basically personalization for sure, it helps a lot. Another reason why targeting is important and retargeting is important is because of the loyalty and retention. You will see it in so many different companies, depending on the area in which you are interested to launch your business. But have a look in your own business and in your own strategy. How much does it cost, the acquisition cost for one client? How much money does it take you to bring one customer in? I think this is one of the basic analysis you have to do, and then indicators you need to monitor throughout your business. So the acquisition cost of the customer, which basically means you take all of the costs that you have, you divide it by the number of the customers that you are bringing. I'm over exaggerating, over generalizing right now, but the general idea would be that. And then also look at how much money do you need to spend to keep one customer repeatedly buy the product afterwards. Even the company I've been working in China, the business model was a very interesting one because it basically, for them, and it's the same in all of the countries for this specific company, it's a consumer finance company, it's the largest one in China. They have 2 products. I've created a third one, but let's speak about the main business. They have 2 products. The first product, it's POS loan. What does it mean, a POS loan? You're going to a store to buy a phone. You don't have enough money for the phone, so you are getting a credit. The credit will be 0% interest rate. Amazing. You bought the customer. The price for you as a company to buy the customer in this case is super high because you're not going to make the money on lending them the cash for the phone. But because the customer is so super excited and so super grateful and so super loyal because of the money that you gave to them, in a couple months, when you come back to them with another offer, with another amount of money, they will be so super excited to work with you that for them, the money that you will ask for them, even though you will be asking already an interest rate for that product, for the next one, for the cross-sell loan, they will be so much more open to take it because they trust you, because they are already loyal, because they are already an audience that you have retained, and they are loyal to you. So targeting the audience is super important for that as well. And really, if you are building a business, measure that. Measure how much money it takes you to acquire a customer and how much money it takes you to retain a customer. Because sometimes it's so much more easy to come up with targeting campaigns for people that are already in your customer base. Call it a community manager if you wish. Some people call it so. It's basically a position where you put yourself to make sure that the existing customers are engaged. You speak to them, you understand what are their needs, again, how much often you want to communicate with them, what kind of information you want to give them. And by the way, in this sense, it is very, I've seen this again in many businesses, that Instagram platform, it so much depends from the businesses. So don't generalize this, please. But there are so many businesses that will be successful because they will be placing educational, informational content on Instagram without selling anything directly there, but building the trust with the audience through Instagram as well. There are again statistics saying that if the person saw your information on any social media platform, they will be so much more prone to buy your service afterwards because they will feel some familiarity. They will already know that they've already seen this, heard of this company somewhere. This holds the same for the customers who are already in your customer base, who is already your target audience, who has been converted to not only a lead but a customer. Keep that lead warm, keep that customer engaged in your portfolio. That's going to be much cheaper and much more efficient than going for completely new customer base. Of course, this depends if you're a completely new startup who is only starting to build an audience. In that case, of course, you'll have to go for persuading completely cold leads to be your customers. I've already mentioned as well about the conversion to sales. So by targeting the audience, you will simply improve your financial result, your sales results. If you will understand, because targeting means not only whom do you want, it also means whom you do not want as your customer, or in other words, who is not for whom your product is not relevant or your service is not relevant. And you can be absolutely egoistic in this sense and actually say it like this, that my product is not relevant for certain audiences. This will give you the power to do the last and most important thing, optimize the costs again. Cut the costs for displays, visualizations for the people who are not relevant for you. This is the similar thing as placing an ad on a website that you know your customers are not reading the information, like putting it on, I don't know, on a TV show that goes in a different language than the language needed for your product. You are selling, for example, IT solutions, something, and your ad will go for a kids TV show or something. So it's completely not relevant. I'm just giving a bit of a exaggerated example just to make it absolutely clear why it is so important to understand how to target the audience in order to not waste the money on targeting incorrect audiences. It is so very important as well to look at the feedback that you get from your customers. This is something that I've been dealing with actually today with one of the ladies who is launching a platform selling certain services for women, and who is doing actually right now a questionnaire. And she has been saying me that she's been receiving so many questions to the questionnaire. And the thing is that exactly those questions from around the questionnaire is what gives you the explanation of what are you doing wrong. Because if the people cannot understand even a simple questionnaire, what they need to answer there, it means that you really haven't done the job of explaining properly or of targeting properly the questionnaire. Actually, that was one of the most important things that was not done properly, is when you are having a product. In that case, it was just a question. Okay, it was not for sale, but it still has the same, let's say, thinking process. When you're placing it for people for whom it is not relevant. If your questionnaire is only for the teenagers, make sure you are not putting it on a political program somewhere where you probably know that your target audience is not going to be there. Mary, are you still with me? Because I'm feeling like I'm speaking just alone by myself, so I just want some feedback back. And if there are any questions so far.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just wanted to know that again your picture stopped. If you can have make some refresh or again something. Do you hear me?
Yes,
Natalia?
I do. I hear you.
Yeah, we hear you very well, but your picture stopped, froze.
Still, right now, it's still frozen.
Yep, disappeared. And you, participants, you are here. Do you prepared questions for Natalia? Yeah, you are back. We see you. See you, Natalia.
I can see you. I can hear you.
Yeah, everything. If you have something to share, just let me know because I have to add on the screen.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to comment about the difference of culture. This is such an interesting topic that all the time I discovered only by some examples and things that you told about differentiation about this discount at least. This is quite nice. Even languages is how we see language from the left to the right, and other countries other. And in this case, how they are putting their advertising information to see, like not from left to the right, but inverse, let's say. And also I saw such examples in other presentation. It was oh my god, very mind-blowing. Yes, we are here. Yeah, great.
And it's interesting as well that sometimes it can be a very direct and understanding thing. Like, for example, with the Bulgarians, we understand that this for them means yes. So you can understand. So you have to change the logic, but you will understand that this means no and this means yes. It's counterintuitive, but you understand the logic. And the thing is that there are some cultures where you cannot understand the logic. For example, in case of the Chinese people, it is real. Now I know it is highly advised not to ask direct yes or no questions, especially if you don't know the person, because in 99% of cases they will say yes. They will just, because they will be in such a respectful position. Well, they will just simply want to approve of anything, accept anything, allow anything, but they
They're
will
welcome,
not,
let's say.
yes, but they will not mean it in the execution part. This is what we had the trouble with testing our product in China. At the beginning, we were asking exactly the yes or no question. Would you buy this product? Yes, we would buy the product. Okay, amazing. We've tested the product. A couple of months later, we are ready. We are releasing the product, and it doesn't have the conversion we've been expecting. Why? And only when we got on board Chinese people, because that was one of the problems that we had from the beginning. One of the mistakes or lessons learned that we had in the project is that our team, even though it was based in China, it was formed from European people. So European people with their best know-how came to China to do a European product and sell it to the Chinese people. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. You have to have on board people who understand the mentality and the specifics of the local language, culture, anything.
Okay, and we have two questions. Do you see the questions, or you will prefer to write them? Okay, you say about two cases in China. One post-loan, when you want buy a phone, and you say, what are these two cases? Okay, let me show you on the screen.
Yeah, now,
Yeah.
super. There are these two products in China in the whole model. So the first product is this POS loan. POS is POS loan, a point of sale basically loan. So you are going to a point of sale and you are buying the product. 99% of the cases it was about a mobile phone. And the second one is the cross-sell loan. Cross-sell means that you are a customer who already bought one product. So I'm giving you a second product, cross-sell, because you already have one. So that's why it's like it's two products. It's a two-phase, let's say, sale. And in their case, they were patient enough because they were having at least 3 months difference in between selling you the first product before they give you the second offer, because they had to make sure that you will be repaying on time. So from the risk perspective, you are a safe customer.
Great, thank you. And we have another one. I will show you on the screen also. It's what do you think about A/B strategies in searching audience for a startup?
Well, A/B testing is always a good idea as long as it doesn't require too much technical development. I've seen many cases where it was just simply too difficult for the system as such to be able to do the A/B testing for certain processes. Especially if you want to test, for example, different order of the steps of registration process. For example, if you want to sell something and you need to figure out 4 types of information for the customer, sometimes the different order of this or sequence of this information as you require might lead to a different result at the end. It is super important to test it, but I've seen situations where the technical development of allowing the A/B testing was so difficult that it had to be done as an expert judgment. So from this perspective, as long as you have experts or experienced people, a strong team with whom you can brainstorm what is the right audience, try to do that, because of course for a startup you will try to minimize the costs. And sometimes A/B strategy might mean as well that you have to invest additional money in order to understand what is the best audience or whatever, what is the best strategy for you to do. So I'm all for the A/B testing, but be careful of the costs.
Thank you. And I wanted to ask you if you know some examples for participants to segment or target, online tools, for example, such Google Trends. Is that correct? I mean, it depends on the cases, of course, but if you have any, any tools that can help them.
Actually, there is one, Laura, you're welcome. The one thing that I forgot to mention is, I don't know if you have any idea how much it costs to hire a target expert nowadays. I've started dealing with this maybe half a year ago or so in some private projects where I realized that the campaigns will be performing much better if there would be an expert who will be doing the targeting of the audience. And a person to define a target for a campaign online, being it Instagram, Facebook, or social media platforms, can charge 300, 500 euros for a set of a couple campaigns, which can be done even within one day maybe, but it's a person who has the know-how of how to do that. And it's people usually that do it. I cannot really recommend anything automated for defining the audience, because simply by saying if you are selling toys for kids or IT solutions for some companies, the selection of the target audience will be so much more different that you have to simply use the judgment of a real person to tell you what is the target audience, or what are the types of the audience that you need to test, which one will be reacting better to your product.
Also here, I will add other questions, but maybe I will add just that depends on the topic. It's important to have very deep research. For example, checking the national research about, I don't know, even this topic about toys, yes? How many parents are in Moldova, how many children are born, to check is there any market for you, and if not, or yes, you can move forward in other markets, and how look those markets by segmentation.
Thank you for saying that, because you reminded me also one thing. This is about reporting and looking at the numbers. If you are selling your product through social media platforms, make sure you are enabling everywhere all the possible reports. If it's Instagram, for example, you just switch your account to professional account to business account, which is completely free of charge, but this allows you to see the insights. And in the insights, there is a specific area that is called audience, where you will see what is the gender of the people, what is the age of the people, the geography of the people, from the perspective of the countries, of the cities. So make sure you don't lose this information, but also make sure that you are looking at it once in a while, because it might be changing in time. As your product might be changing, depending on what the product it is, the audience that is interested might be changing as well. So you can maybe even set it in your calendar once in 2 months, once in 3 months, to revise, to understand, is anything changing on the customer side?
I added another question. Do you need to have marketing specialist, or we can find our target audience by ourselves in our case? And if you can, then how to do it? What are the tools?
Here I would answer as well by saying, first of all, it depends how big your company is. Depends of the size of the company. If it's large enough, then probably you have to have one person inside of the at least one person who is responsible for the marketing strategy as such. Another, always a good idea, as the question before that, is this A/B testing. Was 2 weeks ago that I was discussing with one company who was trying to decide if it's better to outsource a certain service or to keep it in-house. If you have the capacity once in a while to test both services, if it's in-house or outsourced, do it. If you are able to do one campaign through external help or internal help, just do it, because it will also motivate your internal people or internal person to activate and come up with new ideas. And at the same time, you will make sure that you do know that you have the best result possible. So depending on the size of the company, of course, depending on the costs as well, if you can afford having another person. But usually the financial calculations for these cases are really showing a very big advantage of having a good person who knows how to do it. Whether it's in-house or outsourced, that's already a different question. Like, depends what, if you can find a good specialist. I think actually if it's in-house, it might be even cheaper, but you have to make sure that it's a good specialist. If it's a good specialist, it will be probably a freelancer who does their different type of activities.
But also here, as participants are just on the start and just by learning, by doing, we are suggesting to them to test everything by their own, to Google, of course, a lot, to research and to ask our mentors, our experts, trackers, even us, and only when they don't find any answers, just later on, and also when they will have something at least to test, to implement, only then to scout, hunt any other specialists.
Especially for a
And
startup,
also
right?
here,
Yeah, I would say here is really important that before you hire anyone, before you outsource anything, you understand for yourself how that process works. Because when you completely outsource, you also outsource kind of the responsibility, like the person know what they are doing. But believe me, nobody in the world will give a damn about your business idea and financial result as much as you do. This is also one of the mainstream things that Gary Vaynerchuk is speaking about so many times, because there are so many people coming up with the question, why do I have so many employees? I'm trying to motivate them and they are not motivated enough. Well, because it's your business, it's not their business. They are paid a salary to work from 1 hour to another hour. There are some crazy people that are super active and they want to give as much as possible. But in general, as long as you are not setting very clear expectations and even measurable expectations, you cannot really expect the best result. So that's why I would also completely agree, try to test it by yourself, not only to optimize the cost but also to understand at least a bit more than superficially how all of the processes are working and how complicated they are. Because some expert and consultant can come and tell you that, look, this is possible to do, but it costs 5,000 euros or whatever, something. And you just simply might know that it takes you half a day to optimize something and the costs will be completely different. So make sure you will not allow yourself to be fooled by this kind of experts.
and even here, working with such experts, you will feel that you are paying and you are doing more job than the expert, because you have to explain, to brief, to understand better, and to answer to with right answers to questions that you'll receive. So and also here, it's another question about the skills that has to be to have this target person. What
Mhm.
skills a target person need to have?
I think this is a position already that speaks a lot about the social understanding, social perception skills. It is not for sure. It has to be the analytical part, the numbers part. Actually, not for sure. So number one, it has to be the analytical part. I'm saying it just like that because for me that's like a basic thing. Any person who is working with targeting needs to work with the numbers, needs to work with different segments, needs to know how to segment the people and how to calculate the conversion, the funnels. Funnels means you are taking a base of potential customers that you want to have a touch point with, and then you at every single step you are calculating how fewer customers are staying up until the point where you have sold this specific thing. So being able to calculate the analytical skills is absolutely a must. And then the social part, because so many times the things that you have to come up for the segmentation or for the customer targeting are creative things, are things that, especially for the retargeting, for example, you have to think about what is the customer journey and at which point in the customer journey you can use that trigger to retarget the customer. So for sure, like on one side is super creative and on the other side is a very analytical person, which like usually we are taught that you can be either or, but a targetologist has to have both sides of that.
Okay, and last question. It's in our list. It's not last, but about the
Mhm.
literature, the books
Mhm.
that we can recommend. Is there
Yeah.
any great
Mhm.
book that you can suggest?
Yeah, I will very honestly tell you that I don't think I've read any book about targeting the audience and the segmentation in the terms how we understand it today. I've been also, when I started speaking about the targeting the audience, I said that this is a position that even within the last year has increased more than 40 times in terms of the job offerings. So this is a super new thing. And it's exactly the same with setting campaigns or new features of Instagram. I will never learn about the new features of Instagram from the books, even though I love reading books. Like I read books, but not only it is about new trends in marketing. I just simply don't believe in that kind of thing because I think it's a bit outdated and not really going in the pace with how quick everything is happening right now. I think the best way how you can learn about targeting the audience and segmentation is what also Mary said a bit earlier. Try it by yourself, do it by yourself, learn, and then you will develop the skills to understand how to target. And then you cannot even imagine how much information there really is on Google, how much you can learn from there. And it's an open source, it's free of charge. It just takes a lot of time and attention and willingness actually to learn.
With your permission, I shared just some sources that are that are free of charge. It's Google, your customer, partners, Facebook pages, social listening, competition slides, industry reviews. Just I will structure a bit, but yeah. It's not only specific on books, but in books you can find like some general things that already, Natalia, it's your book. You can see this video again and structure for in your mind how you can go through your idea by targeting, by geographically, by culture, and segment each field of your audience.
What I would also add here is try to not look for general solutions for your specific business idea. So when we are saying Google something, it doesn't mean Google the solution. It means Google the methodology, how to come up to your own solution. That's why I would say, like, any of you, if you are working on a startup and you have a real business idea and you are looking for your real target audience, I'm absolutely free if you will contact me directly and we will speak about your specific business idea, because every single one of them is so different. Even the simple difference that sometimes you can have a B2C business, you might be selling a product to regular customers in the street, and sometimes it's a B2B business where you are selling your product to companies. You cannot generalize how to do a targeting of the audience when you are selling something to companies or you are selling something to individuals. That's why you really have to approach it in a very individual manner. And everything what we're speaking now here, it is more like a structure, it's more like a methodology, it's not the solution as such.
Amazing. So we are in time almost. Maybe you have some conclusion that you want to share, where it was your message right now.
We'll add one more thing, because knowing that we are speaking now to people who are in the university and trying to do a startup, I think this might be one of the most interesting and thought-provoking experiences if you are brave enough while you are in the university to start a startup and to work on it. I'm always super appreciative of the people who are trying to learn, especially at the younger age, especially in the age where they still have no, I don't know, big families and kids and dogs to take care of. This is exactly the point where you are building your expertise and your value as a good specialist. Even if you will do a startup that will fail, that will never be a failure. That will always, I love it so much, because right now in the accelerator where we are, there are 5 mentors of us. Every single mentor is mostly speaking from their experience of failed businesses, of failed startups. And they are experts, not because they build Googles, not because they have Zoom and they have built Facebook, but because they've tried so many times and they failed quite few times, that they've learned too many lessons and they have so many things that they can share right now. So that's exactly what you can do right now. That's exactly what you can explore basically look at there are no failures. There are only lessons that you can learn right now. So go do
Thank you
that.
very much. Natalia, here participants are asking about your contact. I shared your LinkedIn profile, but if you have any other contacts that you want to share, just let me know and I will write. Or we can share your contacts on follow-up email.
Okay, I'll give you the contact so you can edit the follow-up email.
Okay, great. Thank you again. Very nice structure and very nice dots. I hope our participants will use all this information. And of course, if they have any other dilemma questions, just let us know and we will connect with you or with any other relevant mentors, experts. Thank you very much and see you on other tasks that you have in the program, and for see you at our next webinar on next Friday, Thursday. Thank you, Natalia, very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
You too.